advances through qualifiers, into Challenger League and through Premier League. After a long season in 3 regions, we have our regional champions. It's now time to crown the season champion. Please welcome to the stage the final 16 for WCS Season 2. This is the WCS Season 2 Finals. Welcome to Gamescom 2013, the WCS Season 2 Finals. I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am for you guys to enjoy some fantastic StarCraft coming up over the next 3 days. Let's just introduce you to how these players got to the 16 by way of 3 different regions, as you can see on your screen. They've come through Korea, they've come through America, and they've come through Europe. 5 from each, and an extra special one. Not just because we're special in Europe, but because we're the host this season and we get the extra players. So 6 from Europe make up our final 16 in the grand finals. It's going to be awesome. I just can't wait to even get the games going. It's going to be epic in every sense. We are going to get to our first game fairly shortly. But before we get there, let's have a look at the groups and show you how the 16 players are divided into Group A, B, C and D. There we go. In Group A, we have the group of runners-up, as it were. 3 of them in there from 3 regions, plus Welmu, the wild card coming through from 5th place. We'll play Group A to start with. We'll then play Group B, C and D. All today, you'll see 4 matches from each. Just a word for you if you're tuned in online as well. We have 2 streams. We'll have the main stream from here on the main stage, and we'll also have the second stream with Kalaris and Todd. And you can see on your schedule right now, Rain versus Jaedong will be on stage 1, and on stream 2 we'll have MC versus Welmu. The losers game will also be with Kalaris and Todd, and then we'll have the main game on here, which will be the winners match, deciding who goes through for the first time today. Tomorrow we'll also have the final game of each group stages. So, that's how it all works. Let's take a look at Group A. 4 fantastic players in that group. I mean, every group is stacked. You just can't pick a winner out of any of them. This is no different, as you can see on your screen right now. All highly ranked players. Welmu in there, the outsider perhaps, from plenty of support here from Europe. And then we have 3 runners-up. MC from the runners-up position in Europe. We have Rain from Korea, and Jaedong, also a runner-up in WCS America this year. Okay, it's time for our first game. Just before we introduce the players, let's check out what our first match is here on the stage. It's going to be an epic Korean battle between Jaedong and Rain, as we've already said. These 2 have not met so far this season. They are going to be the 2 runners-up going head-to-head for game number 1. So, time to introduce you to the players. Please make some noise for the runner-up of WCS America Season 2, raise your dongers, Jaedong! goes head-to-head with another man with top credentials from WCS Korea. The runner-up is Rain. Okay, with our two players introduced, it's also time to introduce you to some of the other men that will bring you the action during the show over the whole weekend. Don't forget we've got Todd and Kalaris on stream 2 just for today. They'll be joining us tomorrow. We also have Rotterdam going to join us as well. And before we get to our commentary team, we've got a very special man who's going to be up here co-hosting with me for the entire weekend. It's a great privilege to introduce Mr. Jobra.
Thank you, Red Eye. It is an honor to be here at Gamescom for the Season 2 finals of WCS in StarCraft 2. I am so excited, like you cannot believe just how excited I am. I landed yesterday, but forget jet lag, forget fatigue, because the energy in this room is out of the roof. I'm just blown. You can hear the crowd. They've been cheering for every announcement that Paul's been making. I mean, check this out. Everyone is excited for these matches. How can you not be? We have great players and amazing stories for all 16 players here today, and see who can be crowned the champion of Season 2 in WCS. So let's not wait any longer, Paul. I can't wait to watch the first game between Jaedong and Rain. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Jobra. It's fantastic to have you here, and I share his sentiment. I am so excited for game one. I'm like a little nerd on Christmas morning. So without further ado, we are going to get underway with game number one. But before we get there, it's your commentary team. We start off with the A team. Ladies and gentlemen, Artosis and Apollo.
Thank you so much, Red Eye. Apollo, I mean, Jobra seemed pretty excited, but I think my excitement here dwarfs that. This is going to be, in my opinion, one of the top tournaments of the year, one of the top tournaments ever in StarCraft 2.
I have to agree. I am so excited to be here at Gamescom in Cologne, Germany. I'm happy that you're here with me as well, Artosis, for this tournament, and we will be starting with the first game very shortly. And what a game to kick us off here today.
Oh, this is actually the game I'm most excited about going into this tournament. Jaedong. It's Jaedong. He's a legend, Apollo. He's only gotten second places recently. He's looking to try to win this, but he hits Rain first, which is probably the worst person for him to fight in the whole tournament.
That's right. Rain is an incredible Protoss player. Of course, second place in his respective WCS region. We'll see what he's going to be able to do at this tournament. A lot of people, you know, we're looking at the grand scheme already, but a lot of people are pegging Rain to do extraordinarily well here at the Season 2 finals, and Jaedong will have a hard time to kick off his Season 2 finals against him.
I think this is the hardest Protoss for him to face in the whole tournament, Apollo. Rain is such a safe, solid macro player, and when it's a player like that, Jaedong has a little bit of a harder time in ZVP.
Oh, he really does, but he is becoming stronger and stronger the more games he plays against Protoss players. We are about to begin the veto system, so as you can see on screen, those are the maps in the map pool, and Rain will veto out first. Derelict Watcher, a smart first choice.
It certainly is. You know, it's very hard to actually start holding 3 and 4 bases on that map against Zerg. I think it's a great choice.
And we'll see what Jaedong's going to get rid of here. Akelon Waste, another smart choice here from Jaedong, a map that all Protoss players like to fall back on.
I tell you, I think it is a Protoss favorite map, Apollo. You can take that 3rd and 4th base just so easily against Zerg.
And we'll see what's going to happen next between these two players. Of course, if you didn't know already, this is going to be a best of 3 here to kick off this group stage between these two players. Neoplanet S is the second map for Rain.
And that's pretty much what you would expect, I would say, right, Apollo? I mean, taking a 3rd base on that map, it's predictably very difficult to do.
So we now have, with Star Station going down for Jaedong, the 3 maps that we'll be playing on. They're now determining the order which they'll play on. So Belshir Vestige, Newkirk, and Whirlwind. I wouldn't be surprised if Rain was to pick Belshir to kick things off on.
That would be a great first pick. You know, Belshir is a very small map overall, and generally speaking, Protoss players seem to be favored there against Zerg.
All right, well, we'll find out that momentarily as the first game is about to begin of the WCS Season 2 Finals. The Tyrant is here, yes he is. And we will begin very, very shortly. I am super pumped to get these games underway. Remember, we'll be covering this first game, this first best of 3. Immediately after, we'll be covering the winners match of this group. The other game going on at the same time will be on the second stream, which you can find at www.twitch.tv/WCS_Europe2. But oh boy, this is a good one on this one.
I tell you, as much as I would love to go watch MC against Wellnu, a great rematch from WCS Europe, this is really, for me, the match. Is there a match that you're more excited about today than this one?
This has to be the one. It has to be the one. This is such a good starting game for us to get right into. Jaedong, of course, as you can see on screen, been trying to improve his performance against Protoss players. It's his biggest weakness. We all know Jaedong against other Zerg players, he's going to crush through, usually. And against Terran players, he's likewise putting out strong performances. But against this individual on screen, he's predicted to definitely be in the final of this tournament by a lot of different professionals, analysis. This is going to be a difficult first game.
It certainly is. You know, Rain, as mentioned previously, Apollo, this guy is defensive. He's a macro-based player. He's very smart. He knows how to beat anything. So it really is the hardest person for Jaedong to fight. But you know, as you were saying, Jaedong has been getting a lot better in Zerg versus Protoss, and I think that this could possibly go his way. If he can possibly scout what it is that Rain is opening with and get that little edge on him, I think that Jaedong can perhaps take this home.
Jaedong has been taking a lot of games against Protoss again recently. He's of course struggled, but he's really had a training ground, I'd like to say, DreamHack, where he's been able to pick up so many of his WCS points.
Yeah.
He had a rivalry against Stardust, a player that beat him until Jaedong finally figured out how he could actually take the series away from Stardust in a future tournament. And then he's been able to carry that through his respective WCS region, being able to beat the likes of teammate Oz out 2-0. He was able to beat Jim, another player that was meant to be here originally, 3-2. He's improving, he's becoming stronger.
Slowly but surely, Jaedong gets better and better and better, and you would think he would too, right? This guy is one of the legends ever of pro gaming. He is the second best Brood War player of all time, the greatest Zerg in our history, in our very long professional history with StarCraft. And here in StarCraft 2, he's not quite there yet, which you know has to be frustrating for him.
Well, we'll see. Another second place, as you can see on screen. Those are his results from his WCS NA region, the last couple of results there. But look at those win percentages. These stats are taken from only WCS events. Premier League, Challenger League, and all Tier 1 and Tier 2 tournaments. This is against incredibly good players, 93% against Zerg.
Well, that doesn't even make sense.
Amazing.
You know, unfortunately for him, though, there's only 2 Zergs in this tournament this weekend.
Yes.
Jaedong himself and Scarlet, the great Canadian Zerg.
And here we have SK Telecom's Rain. Pretty good results there across the board. A lot of fantastic results.
Well, he got second place recently in WCS Korea, which is considered the hardest of the 3 WCS regions. So a great player indeed getting to that finals, but he was taken out by the champion, Maru, who's here, of course, this weekend as well.
A lot of fantastic players. 16 of the world is here at the WCS Season 2 finals. Oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Right now, as you can see on screen, Jaedong is just having a little bit of an issue with his booth, but we'll jump into that immediately. We've seen the trophy, we've seen the players. It's now only minutes away from actually beginning our run here.
That's right.
The Season 2 finals.
Oh man, I absolutely cannot wait. If Jaedong can get out of this group, Sean, what does that mean for the rest of the tournament?
I think if Jaedong can escape this group, I think he's only going to come more confident and may do very well here. Very, very well. But the obstacle is his first group. He has to advance from this group. Starting up with a win against Rain. I would say if he's able to beat Rain, I see him going through top 2 at least in his group.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think Rain is going to be by far the hardest player here, you know, and that's what a crazy thing to say, right? With MC being in the group as well, the winningest player, who in fact this weekend may break the $400,000 won mark.
Yeah.
Craziness.
But if Jaedong, the first big obstacle is his group, and it is Rain. A lot of people, as mentioned, just thinking he was going to do well this tournament. I think so too. I think this is going to be a very, very difficult game for Jaedong. I think Rain is a big favorite to take out Jaedong in this first game too.
Certainly. I think Rain is a big favorite to take out his group and perhaps make it to the finals, perhaps even win.
All right, well, we'll find out as the game is about to begin here. We are counting into the first game of the WCS Season 2 Finals. Oh boy, is this going to be a good one? Jaedong versus Rain. Gonna kick us off here, a best of 3. The first map will be Belshire Vestige. Oh boy, Autosis. Getting all wiggly over here.
I'm a wiggly little nerd right now, Paula. I cannot wait to get in here. Rain against Jaedong, the game just about loaded up. What are your predictions? What is the final score of this match?
I think it's going to be, it's either a 2-0-2. I definitely Rain win, I think. And 2-1, I'd say. 2-1.
2-1?
Maybe 2-0.
I can go with the 2-1. I can't go with the 2-0. It's too radical.
All right, well, there is the trophy that these players are playing for, as you can see on screen. Head-to-head in our first game. It begins right here, Autosis. It begins right here, this 3-day tournament.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into it. Up here in the top left of the map, the Protoss second place from Korea. Give it up for Rain.
And of course, he goes up against quite a big fan favorite, I'd like to say. It is none other than E.G. Jaedong.
The intensity in his face is astounding, Apollo. One of the highest concentration levels I've ever seen in a pro gamer.
He knows that this is going to be a difficult group to play in. It's going to be a difficult first game for him to play in as well against Rain, who, as you described earlier, is incredibly solid. He doesn't really make mistakes very often.
Yeah.
He's going to be playing this game so strong, and it's going to be difficult for Jaedong to find weaknesses in Rain's play. And the only way that I feel Jaedong can win this series, he has to play better. And stronger and faster, all these things, he needs to do it better than Rain can ever do.
He actually has to have the Zerg vs Protoss games of his life to take out Rain, but I think that Jaedong can do that. He turns it on in high-pressure situations like this. If there is a huge crowd watching him, he draws energy from that, Apollo. And you know what? I think that if he can really scout out what Rain is up to, really figure out what the opening build order is, the opening strategy, that he is going to be a match for Rain. At least push Rain to his limits, if not beat him.
Well, the hatchery does get down there for Jaedong. Not too much of a problem. Did have to pull another drone to assist it to get down, though, which is a little bit of an issue here, and they do lose a little bit of resources when having to pull that second drone out. But with Rain's percentages against Protoss, they're at 66% when we looked at his stats. So far in his WCS runs, he's only played against 3 players. 1, 2, lost 1. Yeah. Only 3 players in his WCS run so far.
Well, you know, I have full confidence in Rain overall, even if he hasn't played a lot of the matchup recently. You know, he's on SK Telecom T1, one of the biggest and best teams in all of Korea, very strong Protoss line, so he definitely has a plan for this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the one game that he played in Season 2 Premier League within Korea. It was against Hiver, and well, the games he won, man, he looked dominating. Yeah. And as you pointed out, if Rain's able to choose his strategy undetected from Jaedong's vision, Jaedong may get surprised and may be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
He needs to find out exactly what his opponent's planning. It's the key to beating Rain.
That's completely true. And in fact, that match that he played against Hiva, the game he didn't look like he was dominating in, Hiva figured out what was going on early on, put a stop to it, and then Rain just could not come back from there. And I think that Jaedong actually is a better player even than Hiva. So I think that if he figures that out, he can do it as well.
Well, we can already see Jaedong starting to take map control here with 2 Zerglings going to be outside the main Protoss base. This is going to allow him to spot any probes that try to leave the vicinity of this area. That, first of all, will give an indication if there's any aggression coming. And then they have 2 Overlords in fantastic location already here for Jaedong. One moving just south of the main base, another one to the east of the second base that Rain set up. He will look to poke in as much as possible if he's got his timings right to try to figure out what Rain's going to do here.
Yeah, the Overlord pincer, one of the best ways to scout for Zerg early on. It's worth giving up an Overlord or 2 to really figure out what's going on. And in this case, Apollo, looks like it's going to be a Stargate.
And look at the location of the Stargate here. Rain knows that it's important to keep the information away from Jaedong as much as possible, So what we see a lot with Protoss players is they kind of rotate the location that this Stargate goes in. I don't think over a stretch of months it is always in the same place.
You're completely right about that, Apollo. It's a funny thing. Sometimes you even hide it in plain sight. That looks like a place that the Overlord may peek in and see, but this Overlord's job is more to look at what time the gas comes up. So Rain has chosen an interesting spot, and he may not have it spotted until he actually has a Phoenix or a Void Ray out.
Well, it is going to be Phoenixes here from Rain, who likewise on the other side of the map did send out a probe, and he saw the Queen, so he kind of knows that the third base is down there. So he knows that he's not playing against aggression, and it is going to be set up in a very textbook style. As you can see, he actually did see the hatchery too, so he knows that this game is very, very normal.
And you know what, this is the right way to play against Jaedong right now. Play a normal standard macro game and see what you can do. Now he is sending out his first Phoenix, start hunting down these Overlords, supply Jaedong a little bit early on, and throwing up his Robo right behind it.
So he's going to be throwing that robotics facility to, most likely just look here to go towards Colossus as fast as possible. The units that Jaedong has at his disposal at the moment, Zerglings and Roaches, not going to be able to do too much against a Colossus and a bunch of sentries around it. But Jaedong eagerly looking for what's going on. He still doesn't know. He's seen the Phoenixes, but he doesn't know, is it a bunch of gateways behind it? Was it a faster robotics facility? And with this scout, at this very time, Jaedong seeing 3 gateways, he can now piece together that this was, in fact, a robotics facility immediately after the Stargate. Otherwise, those gateways would have been much closer to finishing.
Oh, for certain, Apollo. And in fact, right now, Jaedong is throwing down a lot of spores, and the Robo has finished. So let's go ahead and see exactly what he's going to make out of it. And there you go. He does go with that Colossus tech as predicted. You really do need that splash damage, just in case,
And well, here the harassment begins for Rain, who is trying to slow down Jaedong as much as he can to get that splash damage to be able to utilize it, because if he isn't able to do anything to Jaedong has a free run through, and unfortunately loses one of the Phoenixes there. That's not ideal. He did pick up 4 drones, but not ideal at all there.
No, you really don't want to lose one of those early Phoenixes. They're used for more than just this harassment. Later on, they're going to be picking up units that are in the army. They're still going to be scouting a lot, and to lose any of them, that's a big investment to lose one. Rain not doing his best so far with those.
And Jaedong, as you can see with his build, he did opt to go for quite a fast layer here over any upgrades at all. The layer was the first investment he actually use his gas for. So he's got the Hydralisk Den rather fast, and he's even building Hydralisk with Zerglings, which have Zergling speed completed as well. So he's going to start to pile on a bit of pressure soon. He will start to be more active on the map.
How much do you think he's going to commit to an attack here, Paul? Is this going to be a situation where you think he's going to go for the kill, or is he just making these units to have some sort of map presence, to put on a little bit of pressure?
To put on little pressure, because at this point, if he was ever to commit to it, the first Colossus has already been rushed out because the robotics facility was down so early. So Rain's almost kind of set up to deal with a lot of aggression, I feel, at this point. His sentry count's currently only at 2. That's not too many force fields here.
No, this is like the really greedy version of this build that Creator actually made way back in Wings of Liberty, where you only have a couple sentries, you're putting a lot more gas into things like upgrades, getting your Colossus out quicker and whatnot. And Jaedong right now actually making a lot more Zerglings, and that Spire's finishing up pretty quickly here. Could we see a Corruptor Zergling Hydralisk timing attack?
I think so. He already gets one of the Phoenixes down there. Quite useful to pick up the Hydralisk once an attack is actually committed to here. Jaedong, though, has lost Overlords. He's a little bit supply capped here. He's not going to really rush out a large army, but he is setting up a flank. Artosis, the left-hand side, the right-hand side at the same time. Only 2 sentries. 1 Colossus on the left-hand side if that gets picked off.
Oh my god, that one on the left-hand side is so important, and the Zerglings going after it. It looks like, oh my god, Rain has saved it, but the Zerglings go in and kill it off. 1 sentry falling. In come the Phoenixes, but it looks like these Hydras may be too many.
They may be too many. He's got no sentries at all here to protect the Colossus. He's just finished up with Thermal Lance. Blink is being made. As you said, the greedy version of this build. Jaedong's got a 50-40 supply advantage here.
This is a huge lead for Jaedong right now, and in fact, going over to take out the Cybernetics Core, there's going to have to be more of a wall made here by Rain. This is fantastic for Jaedong.
And the Colossus on the right-hand side is out in the open. It's been abused once again here by these Zerglings and Hydralisks, and Jaedong opening up this series with a bang here. This is not usually meant to happen like this. It's meant to be much, much more controlled from Rain.
Oh my God, and Jaedong right now is switching into mutas, Apollo. This is a perfect situation for him.
Yeah,
and look at that, he's targeting the core, it's beautiful.
There's no Stalkers, what does he have? He's got one Stargate, sure he could build a Phoenix or two, he's only got two at the moment. Jaedong with his trademark Nautilus, which aim team. Aim Mutalisk are about to come on. There's a single Colossus there, another one, they're going to fall down immediately, which means the Zerglings that are going to back this up.
And
Rain has no observer, he doesn't know.
He has no idea, and don't forget, Jaedong already has that fourth base with the gases mining. Doing a great job right now. Jaedong, I think, is just going to kill him right now, Apollo.
Oh man, this is, as soon as Rain sees this, he's going to be like, oh no. Oh no, because the Mutalisk come in, man. He really does not have too much to deal with this. Only a handful of Phoenixes. The probes get evacuated immediately here.
This is a lot of mutas. Even though those Phoenixes are quicker with better range, it's going to be hard to kill this many Mutalisks with them.
All right, the Stalkers do have blink, but they're getting picked off before they really do anything here. Jaedong controlling his Mutalisk really, really well. And at the same time, there's a bunch of Zerglings being made. And they're in the center of the map here. Great control here from Jaedong. Whoa, one Phoenix down. 89 supply to 165.
That's a huge difference, almost twice as much for Jaedong right now, and now the Zerglings coming in as well. They're going to help support these mutas, and there's just no way. Rain doesn't have enough units to deal with all of this at once.
And the Colossus get picked off, and the Zerglings will have free reign here. One Colossus down, the second one immediately. Jaedong, look at that supply, 170 to 79, and that's safe, that solid play from Rain that we expected to see. Just was not here. It wasn't here.
Well, I tell you what, Apollo, Jaedong figured out what he was going for. He saw that it was the really greedy type of play. He hit that attack. He did the Mutalisk switch. Everything has gone beautifully. And GG! EG's Jaedong taking game number 1 against Rain.
What a performance from Jaedong. Really capitalizing on his opponent's mistakes. We spoke beforehand of coming on stream Autosis, and I think we both agreed to each other that if Jaedong was going to win this series, then Rain has to make mistakes, man. And oh boy, did he in this game.
He made some mistakes. You know, he did get very greedy, and you know, one of the biggest parts of that was the fact that that one Colossus was caught to the side. If that was with the rest of the army, he may have been able to stabilize there.
Well, Jaedong in this best of 3 takes map number 1 now on Belshir Vestige, a map that Protoss plays, and Rain picked the first map if you remember back to the map vetoes. He vetoed out first and he picked first.
Yeah.
This was meant to be his going into comfort map. We'll start map number 1 here. I'm comfortable to play this map first. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like Derelict Watcher, map number 3, the map that no Protoss player really wants to play against an aggressive Zerg player.
No, they certainly do not. And, you know, now he's going to have to go through some of these harder maps. I think that this is a place where Rain is going to be in a very poor mindset.
Yeah.
Do you think he has what it takes to actually come back and win 2-1 from here?
I do, though. I do.
You do.
Despite being in a poor mindset here, he's a champion. He's a winner. He's the second place from his, his region this season, but in the past he's a winner.
Yeah.
He has what it takes to make this comeback here. But look at that determination on Jaedong's face.
Jaedong is sick of getting second place, Apollo. This guy is a champion through and through. You know, he needs to get a big tournament win. And if it were this one of the hardest tournaments ever in StarCraft 2, what a great first win that would be.
And of course, as you can see, we'll be going straight over to the winners match here on Autosis. The other game that's going on at the moment is MC versus Welmu, which is on stream 2.
Yeah.
Take a guess who won the first map between the both of them.
Because you're asking me, I'm going to go ahead with Welmu.
It was Welmu
Sick.
who takes the first map away from MC as well, coming in as the clear underdog of this group. And that is a massive confidence booster for Welmu if we talk about that for a moment, because they did play against each other in the Premier League of Europe just a week or 2 ago. Welmu was very confident going into MC, but as soon as he lost map number 1, he just went downhill.
He did.
Taking map number 1 against MC is a good start for him in this tournament.
He fell apart before, but I think that he looked at that series and said, you know what, I can come back and I can outplay MC over time. So wouldn't that be weird if he beats MC and Jaedong beats Rain, and our winner match is Welmu Jaedong? Not many people expected that.
And there is the trophy. Oh boy, does it look pretty sexy to me. It's a nice trophy, that one. One of these players will be having that at the end of this 3-day tournament. And we're just at the start of day 1, and I'm quite excited already. getting into this. A great
even
start
that first
here.
game, very fun indeed, Paulo. I love to see a Zerg who hits such a sharp timing there. You know, it starts to hurt Protoss, puts Protoss on that back foot. I loved how he targeted down the cybernetics core so that he could get the Mutalists out and there wouldn't be enough Stalkers to stop them.
I really felt that Jaedong going through that game started to adapt more to the situation he was put in.
Yes.
Because I'm not too sure. I think he was poking up a little bit for a bit of pressure there. And then as soon as he saw the floodgates could be opened, he went for it, man. I'm pretty sure his initial plan was corrupted, as you said. That should have been the initial plan.
Initially it was.
But seeing how much damage he could do, lowering the sentry count, which was obviously going to have to be replaced eventually, picking off the cyber core.
Well, what you're saying is actually exactly what he was known for in StarCraft 1, and that is being the most decisive Zerg that ever lived. He sees an opening and he goes for it all out, ignoring everything else, and he showed us that beautiful play in game number 1.
Well, we'll find out if he can do it in game number 2 now, which is going over to Whirlwind. A bigger map here, a 4-player spawn map. We'll see if the Tyrant, Jaedong, could close it up 2-0. Or if this guy on the left-hand side can pull it back to go to game number 3. As down here, as the red Protoss currently trailing 0-1, it is SKT1 Rain.
And his opponent in the bottom right of Whirlwind, having won game number 1, he is the Tyrant, he is Jaedong.
What do you think that we could be expecting here coming into this map on Whirlwind, Autosis?
Well, you know what? Whirlwind is a different map. It's really gigantic, whereas Belshir is very small. So while Rain could play exactly the same, he's got some other options as well. We could see something like a Sky Toss coming out of him. We could see just Phoenixes into that normal play. We could even see Void Ray Colossus, although that's not quite as popular anymore. So, you know, I find it, ooh, you know what he's trying to do? He's trying to do a cannon rush here, but unfortunately for him, Jaedong's playing safe and going pool first.
All right, well, I mean, looking at these two positions here as well, with Jaedong in the bottom right and Rain on the left-hand side, can this impact the strategies that the game later develops on to see?
Certainly. You know, in these positions, your back is to the Zerg instead of your front. And that means that there's this huge open area in your base where Zerg can go in there if they go for Mutalists, if they go for drops or something like that. It can be very powerful in positions like that. Now, will Jaedong do something like that? Well, if he's as decisive as we saw in game 1, he very well could.
All right, well, the spawn and pull is near completed here, and Rain does scout that hatchery is down. So he's just going to fall foot back onto this Nexus on his main base from this location. Did hurt his income a little bit here, would have, I guess, ideally liked to have opened Nexus first here, but he did choose to get the Forge down first.
You know, it's a risk, but so many Zergs, because it is a 4-player map, open up with that hatchery first. And, you know, if you see that with the exact build he did, you very oftentimes can kill it.
All right, well, now we're going to get into the same phase where we were previously, with Jaedong moving out on the map. It's going to take map control initially with the two Zerglings, as there's nothing really to stop them from taking the Xel'Naga Tower, from keeping outside the center, well, outside the center of Rain's natural location. So he can spot if any movement out here was to come through probes, zealots, or anything along those lines.
Really great scouting so far from him. And, you know, he's got his third hatchery going up right now, very standard against a Forge Fast expansion. Nothing really out of the ordinary on either side, aside from the attempted cannon rush.
With Rain now set up on two bases, you know, in the next few minutes or so, he will aim towards taking the third base. Is it on the left-hand side, let's say the 9 o'clock position on the minimap, or is it more so tucked in a little bit tighter to, let's say, this position here?
Well, I tell you what, that position there, that is for a very aggressive stance. I think Rain, just knowing his style, much more likely to expand to the north, where he can kind of spread his units and zone out the area in front of his natural and his third base.
All right, well, we'll have to follow that, see if Rain wants to play this game out aggressive or not. I don't think he would, though. No? I think he'd like to play it out a little bit longer and try to play to his own strengths, which is known to be late game.
Well, you know, if he wants to go with that same build, well, so far it's looking very similar to he's got that Zealot going and everything, but if he wants to go for that, he's going to have to take the defensive stance. You want to be a bit further away if you're going to try to skimp on units like the sentries.
Yeah, I mean, he's already thrown so much of his Chrono Boost into the double Nexus that he has set up, so it's not like he could rush out and attack or anything from this position. And the Stargate does go down just outside of Jaedong's vision range, but momentarily, as we can see with the green line indicating which way the Overlord will go, he's going to pick it up.
He's going to know right away, and you know, Jaedong is one of these new type Zergs that gets 2 spores at every single base. We're seeing this more and more from the top competing Zergs, where they just say, you know what, I'm not going to let you kill these drones or these queens, and they do a very good job by it. So I think he's not going to take a lot of damage. It's going to be mostly scouting and light harassment from Rain.
One of the reactions to a Zerg building so many spore crawlers that I've seen in the European scene is that people sometimes only build 2 Phoenixes rather than going up higher, which obviously means they're not going to get as much damage done with only 2, but if it's already locked up defensively, with 2 Phoenixes you can still get Overlords.
Yeah,
you get your tech a little bit faster here.
If the Zerg doesn't make any mistakes with how they move their drones or queens, you get almost the same amount of damage done with those 2 Phoenixes, and in fact, then you can start to count those spores almost as damage as well. So I like that type of style. I don't know if Rain's going to stick with that. But
he's only chosen 1 Phoenix and straight off to a Void Ray.
Ooh, okay, so he is definitely switching it up here. It's the same robo timing, but by getting this Void Ray, what do you think we're going to see, Apollo?
I think he'll take his 3rd base shortly with the Void Ray backed up by Colossus here. It really lowers his unit count, though, being spread across 2 tech trees, Stargate and Robotics Facility. But with cutting the Phoenixes so short, he should be able to afford it to take a 3rd base. I really feel that he may even be looking to add on extra Stargates after taking a 3rd base from this location.
So you think we're going to end up seeing Colossus Void Ray here then?
Yes, and if he's not looking to play aggressive, this makes sense with the way that he's placed his Nexus here if he wants to take it longer, because of course, with adding on double Stargates, it's going to take a long time to build the right army, so the Nexus place lines up to maybe this plan as well.
It's definitely going to take a very long time, and Jaedong's going to have to be very careful on which units he gets. But I do have to say, I really appreciate the fact that Rain is skipping more Void Rays, at least for a while. Just get that 1 out. It's going to help you out so much if they try to go for any sort of roach attacks, which are going to be hard to hold on to right now. And he's just spending the rest of his gas on teching up in other ways.
Well, the Hydralisk then now completed. We will start to see the Hydralisk production begin shortly here. One problem that I want to put out there that Rain is going to have to deal with throughout this series is the Mutalisk switch, which Jaedong is so known for. What's the best way for him to deal with it? Is it, having these additional Stargates if he was to go for it? How does he really see it coming before it does?
Well, you know what? This wouldn't be a bad choice if he's going to do the strategy that you're describing here, the Colossus Void Ray, because having those extra Stargates, if you sniff a Mutalisk switch coming, you can suddenly produce enough Phoenixes to hold it off. Whereas if you only have 1, and you only have 1 Phoenix on the map, it's going to be near impossible to ever kill the mutas, and you're just going to have to do some sort of base trade scenario.
All right, well, Jaedong just now setting up to take his 4th base here, as well as the Infestation Pit coming down. A bit of a switch up here for Jaedong. Looks like he may be aiming towards the Hive quite fast here, potentially for some Vipers to pull in these Colossus. But Rain is still sitting on only 2 sentries. They've got a lot of energy now. But is it okay for him on this map because there are hills around?
That's a very good question. Definitely, this is a better map for force fielding against Zerg armies, that's for sure. So I think he's okay against any attacks incoming. He hasn't spent as much on the Phoenixes, so he should have a few more units. The thing is, you said he's spread out across 2 tech trees. If we see Quick Viper, no way he'll have High Templar in time.
Well, the Hive is on the way, and so are the double Stargates too. But let's hold on for a second talking about strategies, as we are going to have Jaedong move forward here. Catches a sentry and a couple of Zealots, and the Colossus, the same second Colossus! It's already gone!
Deja vu right there, Apollo. Losing that Colossus is a huge moment. Now he is pushing up against this wall. Looks like Rain actually had to cancel that upgrade. This is a terrible situation for Rain.
Oh, this is not looking good at all here as Jaedong moves forward with the Hydras, with the Zerglings. A couple of probes are coming off the line here. Rain knows he's under a bit of pressure. But Jaedong, unlike previously, is not having a swell of units behind this. He's teched up to the Hive. He's on his way. It's soon to be in play.
I wonder what we're going to see out of this Hive exactly, Apollo. I mean, is he just waiting to grab a few Vipers? And, he's just kind of getting all his upgrades and relaxing, which is, this is an okay choice. You don't necessarily have to go in for the kill after doing some damage. He's actually instead deciding, let me continue to get my upgrades. I've already punished him. Any move-out timings for Rain are way behind now after losing that Colossus and upgrade anyways.
Yeah, Jaedong's in a very comfortable position just through killing a Sentry, a few Zealots, and that Colossus now. And with that comfortable area he's in, he's upgrading 3 times, got 3 evolution chambers. This is going to make like his tech switches much more viable, and I really think that one of those tech switches after Vipers will eventually be Broodlords. It's actually a favorite style from Jaedong, and with the melee upgrades already coming in, of course he can use Ultralisks as well. He's setting himself up really well to close the game in a later stage.
Yeah, I love this huge plume of roaches coming out right now. 20 roaches to help buffer the damage while the Vipers do their job. These 4 Vipers are going to be deadly. This attack is going to hit before a Templar Archives is done, as the Twilight is just now finishing.
Yeah, man, he is far away from dealing with these Vipers, and Jaedong's going to have a very powerful attack coming up. He's at 200 supply. He's got upgrades coming in. They're not the most important part here. It's these Vipers, which have now been spotted by Rain. And I think he had plans to take a 4th base, and I think he also pulled those plans out. He realizes he has to deal with this attack. It's approaching right this second.
This attack is the most important moment in this game, Apollo. We'll see. What is he going to do against these Vipers? He's going to be very careful. He get pulled in. 3 huge abducts. 2 of them fall down already. Oh, the last one does pull back, but the Hydra's dealing so much damage to these Void Rays.
The Void Rays are falling here, Autosis, and a single Roach goes in like a hero and takes down the last Colossus. And Jaedong, look at the supplies. 160 to 96 with so many units coming in, and if that 3rd Nexus goes down, I feel this is Jaedong's game. It's going to be right here.
That's it. GG!
Whoa, what a start for Jaedong.
Jaedong taking out SKT1 Rain, a player many predicted to win this whole weekend. Some might call it an upset, Apollo, but I call it about time.
About time, Autosis, and you saw his expressions there. You saw him. He was so happy. He knew this was the most difficult game coming into this group, and he's done it. He's beaten Rain 2 games to 0, which means Rain will fall down to the losers map in the group, and will have to play a PvP against either the loser of Wellmu and MC. Here are the winning moments here. Watch Jaedong's face when he realizes he's won. That was a big win for him.
Well, this is a moment that I think in a year or 2 we're all going to look back and say, oh yeah, that's when Jaedong stopped getting 2nd places. This is where he's turned the tides. He can beat the best Protosses in the world in a decisive fashion. He might go very far this weekend, Apollo.
He very may do, Autosis, as he needs to now play against, I'd like to go ahead and say, one of the weaker Protoss players in his group after Rain.
Yeah.
Wellmore MC, the winner of that, will be Jaedong's next opponent on the main stage. Jaedong, of course, will stay up here as he goes into that winner's match. MC, though, did tie the series up against Wellmu. It's currently 1 apiece, and they're playing the 3rd game at the moment.
Oh my God. So guys, make sure you do check out that stream as well. It's the same as this, but with a 2 on the end. Should be easy enough.
That's right, easy enough. And we will be going over to a winner's interview very shortly here with Jaedong after a fantastic start here to his weekend, a fantastic start to his tournament run.
Yes.
And as you say, could very well may go far.
Definitely could. I think after how good that ZVP looked, the next player is not going to be as hard. I think that Jaedong, you know, his confidence on the stage, his confidence now in his new reformed Zerg-verse Protoss, he's going to make it, man. He's going to get into that bracket.
He is. I really think that if it's not 1st place and something happens, I still feel that he could go through 2nd place. But the next most important thing for Jaedong to continue his run here is to make sure he picks up this next win against either Wellmore or MC. Because
Definitely.
if he isn't able to beat the winner of those 2, he will fall down, and he may have to play Rain again. And the next time they meet, I think Rain's going to...
he's not going to be that easy ever again.
It's not going to be that easy.
Certainly not.
All right, I am excited to hear thoughts from Jaedong, though. We do have Chobra here doing the interviews for us. I think he's ready. I can kind of see him on stage, so I'm going to pass it over if Chobra is ready, and to take this interview away.
I'm not the only one here on stage, because we have the winner of the first match we had here at WCS Season 2 Finals. It's gonna be Jaedong beating Rain 2-0 to kick off the season. Yeah, give him a big round of applause. Big match for this guy.
축하드립니다. 그러면 처음에 이제 뭐 여쭤보고 싶은 거는 이번 WCS 결승 첫 매치를 하셨는데 2대0으로 이제 승리를 거두셨어요. 기분이 어떠세요?
상대가 거의 세계에서 제일 잘하는 프로토스라서 어려운 승부를 예상했는데 그만큼 승리하니까 기쁨도 큰 것 같아요.
You know, Rain is one of, if not the best Protoss in the world right now, and I expected a very difficult matchup, and to win 2-0 in that matchup, it feels really good. And can you blame him? I mean, kicking it off like this, you gotta feel good for the rest of the tournament.
자, 그러면 저희 이제 2대0으로 승리하시고 당연히 이제 기분 좋으신데 요즘에 최근에는 계속 준우승 아니면 준우승 이하로 이제 계속 그렇게 성적이 나셨어요. 이번에는 처음 매치 그렇게 2대0으로 이기셔서 기분이 확실히 다르신가요?
네, 뭐 일단 그전 대회 성적은 별로 생각 안 하고 왔고 많은 분들이 좀 제가 좀 많이 약한 이미지로 많이 알고 있는데 이번 대회를 통해서 저도 충분히 강한 저그고 프로토스전도 잘하고 그런 적으로 거듭날 수 있도록 생각하고 왔어요.
And yeah, you know, I don't think about my past records. I know a lot of people have considered me a little bit in a weaker form recently. However, this tournament, I'm here to show you that I am also one of the strongest Zergs in the world, and also that I can play ZVP just fine, and it's going to be a great tournament for me.
자, 그러면 게임에 대해서 한 번만 물어볼게요. 첫 게임도 그렇고 두째 게임도 그렇고 초반에는 이제 비슷하게 오프닝을 하셨는데 첫째도 그렇고 두째도 그렇고 두째 거신이 나올 때 딱 타이밍을 맞추셔서 그걸 잡으셨어요. 그게 계획을 하신 건가요? 아니면 그냥 어떻게 보면 타이밍이 좀 더 좋게 나신 건가요?
뭐 이렇게 제가 의도를 한 건 아닌데 초반부터 좀 제가 좀 유리하게 게임을 이끌어 나간 것 같아요. 그래서 타이밍이 조금 더 빨리 이렇게 공격을 할 수 있었던 것 같고 그래서 승리할 수 있었던 것 같아요.
그 두째 거신을 만약에 그런 타이밍이 안 났다면 게임이 좀 더 오래 갔을 거라고 예상하시나요?
네, 뭐 근데 그 타이밍에 어쨌든 피해를 주는 그런 전략이기 때문에 피해 못 줬으면 당연히 불리했겠죠.
And yeah, you know, catching that second Colossus coming out both times in both games for his match against Rain, Jaedong says, yeah, you know, it wasn't intentional. I didn't perfectly predict that Colossus timing coming out from Rain. However, I led the game, you know, much more advantageously, even from the very beginning, and therefore my timings were a little bit quicker, allowing me to always catch that second Colossus. And had I not, of course, you know, that I kind of rely on doing enough damage in that push, so the game might have gone longer, but I'm glad that it finished off right there. So, you know, let's see what he has to say about, you know, going forward in the tournament, and then we'll move on.
그러면 이재동 선수 이제 2대0 이기셨으니 이번 그룹에서 1위로 올라갈 자신 있으신가요?
일단 가장 강한 상대를 이겼기 때문에 최대한 방심만 하지 않는다면 1위로 올라갈 것 같아요.
And you know, I took down the strongest opponent in this group. So as long as I don't relax too much, I think I'll be able to get out of Group A in first place and move on in the tournament. Once again, give a big round of applause to Jaedong, as he is our first winner. And now let's get a quick breakdown of the match with Rotterdam at the analysis desk.
Thank you very much, Cobra. Indeed, what a match that was to kick off this great weekend, and we're going to have so much more good StarCraft. I have to admit, I am a little bit surprised. I did not expect Jaedong to take it over to Rain, as I have to admit, I have a little bit of a crush on Rain, and I'm a big fanboy, but it's just the first series, and we still got a little bit of time to kill, because Welmo and MC are still playing on the second stream, and of course, you guys should check out KLRS and Todd as well, who are casting over at twitch.tv/WCS_Europe 2. But before we do that, and before that match is ready, already, I think it would be worth to take another look at game one. As in both games, we saw something very similar. Narrow tin timings by Jaedong, but I think it was awesome. We got the game paused over here, which was at the 11-minute mark. I love how Jaedong, of course, split up both Hydra groups. We see a Hydra group on the right, and we see the other Hydra group on the left. Of course, this is something that you always want to do as Zerg. You always want to be able to flank, but it's also hard because, yeah, Hydras are a little faster, but they're still not the fastest unit in the game. They're still not speed roaches. They're definitely not speed links, but Jaedong is still going to go for it, and it worked out so well for him as we can just roll forward from this point on. And we can see that second Colossus, that also important Colossus for Jaedong, for Rain, is completely caught out of position, and this makes a world of difference. We can see Rain trying to save it, and he does a really, really good job, but eventually there's like a Hero Hydra, which does get the shot off, and this makes this fight so much harder for Rain. If he has two Colossus, even if it's only with 50 HP, it is going to make his life so much easier. He had to buy time for Thermal Lens as well, which just finished up, and sure, he has one Colossus right now, but there is no way he's able to expose it too much. The time warp expires as well, and when you lose this cybernetic core, that's always a really, really bad sign as Protoss. From this point on, we can just fast forward a little bit. We can see that Jaedong is also picking up those Phoenixes, which of course sets him up for that also scary Murat transition. I think we all have nightmares from that as a Protoss player. I love how he did this. And okay, right now it looks fantastic for Jaedong, but I've seen bizarre scenarios. If Protoss is able to get up to 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 Phoenixes, then you can deal with a Murak block of even 20 Muras. But Jaedong does something really cool after this, because here we can see Rain is going to lose one Phoenix, but overall Rain is displaying pretty sexy Phoenix micro. And there is almost a moment where you're like, hey, maybe Rain is able to stabilize, and if Rain is able to clean up these Mutalisks, then we got a completely different ball game. But Jaedong is aware of this threat, and right on the moment when it's starting to get a little easy for Rain, we can see all these Zerglings streaming in, and the Colossus were out of position. This makes it double as hard for Rain to focus on the Phoenix micro. Right now the Phoenixes are a little bit out of control. We can see the Mutalisks picking up those Colossus, and that just secured victory. That made it impossible for Rain to defend against all these Zerglings. I thought this was really beautiful. From the very first attack, from the very first moment, Jaedong started to split up his Hydra list. I think he just did pretty much everything right. Game 2 was very similar, but instead of going for Mutalisk, he went for Vipers, but the execution was just as beautiful. Jaedong is looking really sharp, and in the group with 3 Protoss players, I think it's looking very good for Jaedong and GG fans out there. Alright, I think that was it for the post-game analysis for this first match. We're going to go back to Red Eye, as Red Eye is going to wrap up this first series.
Thank you very much to Rotterdam and to Apollo and Artosis. Congratulations to Jaedong. What a stunning way to start us off here at the World Championship Series Season 2 Finals. We have our winners match to come up, but before then, of course, we still have the small matter of MC versus Wellmove. Finishing off, if you're not watching it already, you should tune in on stream 2. I want to take a little bit of time to talk to you about social media as well. You can get involved here if you're here at Gamescom. You can also get involved if you're online as well. Make sure you use the hashtag #WCS. Tune into both streams on starcraft2.com/WCS, and make sure you're following StarCraft as well on Twitter and on Facebook too. Also, a quick shout out to Barcrafts wherever you are in the world. We love the fact that you guys are tuning in and you've got some Barcrafts going out. And a very special mention for one particular Barcraft, which is inside Minecraft. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show this weekend. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be the winner's game for Season 2 Finals Group A.